SCP-4666 The Yule Man, or the Yule Man, or Yowl Man, or the Egg Yolk Man. I don't know how to say it. But today we're gonna figure out what this mad lad is all about. This video is by TheVolgun. I know, we've been watching a lot of TheVolgun. What can I say? I've been really enjoying TheVolgun lately, so yeah, I think it's gonna be a continuous trend, I'm not gonna lie. Let's go. The Yule Man. That's a weird ass name. Is that how you even say it? Like, how do you say it?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Dr. Miller, and the SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-4666. Object Class, Keter.
Oh.
Special Containment Procedures. Web traffic and law enforcement channels worldwide are to be monitored for evidence of SCP-4666 activity, and particularly for cases of stalking or reports of anomalous phenomena involving families with young children. Should a Weisnacht event be suspected to be in progress, the nearest containment task force is to be dispatched to attempt containment of SCP-4666. Standard PDP-8 humanoid first contact protocols apply. Media coverage of family deaths attributed to SCP-4666 is to be suppressed or falsified to make said deaths appear as non-anomalous home invasion murders. Forensic evidence and SCP-4666-A instances collected by non-Foundation agencies are to be confiscated and witnesses amnesticized.
A quick thing. It seems like it's not contained. Wait, it looks like the SCP is not contained. I don't think we've ever really seen an SCP like this that is uncontained. Usually if an SCP is not contained, it belongs to some other aspect, some other group usually. But I've never heard about an SCP that is actually on the loose, dude. That is fucking cool. Oh, I'm stupid too. It actually says uncontained in the title. Well, that's... I didn't know that. I didn't read that.
Description. SCP-4666 is currently believed to be a single, exceptionally long-lived humanoid entity of unknown origin. Survivors of Weisnacht events typically describe SCP-4666 as a very tall, between 2 and 2.3 meters, elderly male of European descent with an extremely emaciated appearance. The entity always appears completely naked, even when observed outdoors in the freezing weather. Though the nature and extent of its anomalous properties remain uncertain, SCP-4666 appears capable of instantaneous or near-instantaneous travel to any location north of 40 degrees north latitude, and possibly to any location on Earth. SCP-4666 activity occurs exclusively within a period of 12 consecutive nights every year, from the night of December 21st or 22nd to the night of January 1st or 2nd.
Well, that's
this
like
period is known as SCP-4666's active phase. During this phase, in what are termed Weisnacht events, SCP-4666 will appear at dwellings in one or multiple locations north of 40 degrees north latitude. In all known Weisnacht events, these dwellings have shared the following characteristics: isolated rural location, home to a family with at least one child under the age of 8, and situated in an area with snow cover lasting throughout the duration of the event. Weisnacht events consist of the following general progression.
Okay.
Nights 1 to 7. Children will report seeing SCP-4666 in the vicinity of their family's dwelling. The entity will typically be observed watching the dwelling from a distance, such as from across a nearby field or from the edge of a neighboring forest. In some cases, children will report waking up at night to find SCP-4666 watching them sleep through a window.
Oh, that is fucking creepy.
To 11.
Oh god.
Family members, including the parents, will report sounds of footsteps coming from the roof or the attic. An extremely unpleasant odor will also frequently be noticed inside the dwelling. No cause for these phenomena will be found. As a result, parents will often begin to suspect their family is being stalked, or even that their dwelling might be haunted. Night 12. Over the course of the night, one of two scenarios will occur. The first, and most common, is that SCP-4666 will kill all members of the family, save for one child under the age of 8, whom it will abduct. SCP-4666 will inflict incapacitating injuries to family members while they are sleeping, then herd them into a single room of the dwelling where it will proceed to kill them in view of each other. The method of killing varies with the event and will typically be preceded by some form of torture, which appears to serve as a ritualistic purpose. See Weisnach events log below.
God!
In the second scenario, which has occurred in roughly 15% of known Weisnach events, SCP-4666 will not harm the family. Family members will report hearing footsteps inside their dwelling at night, though no signs of forced entry will be found. In the morning, children will discover presents at the foot of their beds. These will consist of toys crudely crafted from the remains of human children. See SCP-4666-A instances log below. The criteria, if any, by which SCP-4666 determines the outcome of a Weisnach event are unknown.
Yeah, that's straight up some Kramis shit, right? Isn't it Kramis that is like, oh, it comes and like hunts down the bad children? Or some shit? Perhaps during the observation, you know, night 1 to 7, what he is doing is observing like the family and how they act, right? And if they're good people, maybe they save them or something like that. And if they're bad, he'll take them down, you know? I mean, I can see that definitely as a criteria. That is straight up definitely a plausible criteria, you know? Or what's that child called that lived with Harry Potter? That fat kid? Yeah, like that kid would be fucking gone, dude. Let's be honest, dude. The Yule man would just take that kid no matter what, right? Because he was obnoxious and rude. My point being is that it's probably some relation to it. It might be other relations that, oh, if the victim of his abduction actually don't fit a certain... If a child or the family doesn't reach or meet a certain criteria that the Yule man is searching for, then by definition he has to give them presents instead of killing them horrifically with torture. Right? Dude, I'm not gonna lie, other than the child abduction, dude, this is pretty good. You know, this is a pretty good, it's a very intriguing SCP indeed.
Document 4666-5-30091, Weisnach events log. Location: Unknown Village, Croatia, 1498. Description of Weisnach event.
Okay. 1498.
Unconfirmed. An entire family was killed with the exception of one of the children, age unknown, who was abducted. Though specific details about the event are not available in recovered documents, it was noted that the killings presented strong paganistic elements and that the family members had been made to suffer greatly prior to death. The Archbishop who oversaw the investigation wrote that he believed the family had been killed as part of a demonic ritual. Location:
That's far back, that's like
Unknown
500
Village,
years.
Rupert's Land, present-day Ontario, Canada, 1689.
1689.
Description of Weisnach event. Unconfirmed. An entire family was killed with the exception of 2 of the children, one of whom was abducted, and one of whom, female age unknown, escaped during the killings and was able to reach a nearby village. She told authorities that a naked man had broken into her family's dwelling during the night and proceeded to torture them. Exact method not specified in recovered documents. Upon investigation, the bodies of the family members were found inside their dwelling, hanging upside down from the ceiling. All had been exsanguinated. Location: Eichstätt, Germany, 1913. Description of Weisnach event. An entire family was killed with the exception of the youngest child, male, age 3, who was abducted. The bodies of the parents and 5 other children were found inside a stable adjoining their dwelling. They had been restrained by having knives, pitchforks, and other sharp implements forced through the palms of their hands and into the walls of the stable before having their tongues removed, leading to hemorrhaging and death. Blood from the family members had then been used to paint elaborate patterns of unknown meaning on the hides of the mule, goat, and 2 cows present in the stable. The animals themselves were not harmed. Neighbors told the authorities that in the week preceding the killings, the father of the family had mentioned finding tracks in the snow around the family's dwelling, which appeared to have been made by bare human feet. Location: Plios, Soviet Union,
God, that
1956.
picture is grueling.
Description of Weisnacht event. An entire family was killed, with the exception of the youngest child, male age 4, who was abducted. The bodies of the parents and one other child were found in the living room of their house. They had been restrained, and their feet had been held over flames in the fireplace for an extended period of time, calcining the tissues of the feet and exposing the bones. They had then their heads crushed with an unknown heavy implement. Hundreds of bite marks believed to have been inflicted post-mortem were found on each of the bodies. Branches cut from a fir tree outside the house had also been placed over the bodies to unknown purpose.
I just, where in the world is he taking these children? Like, where is he abducting them? And I'm so curious to what is the, because it seems there must be a reason for it. But the fact that it's like the earliest record of it is like 500 years. This thing might have been doing this for 2,000 years, right? Without having like sufficient documentation of it. So this might have been an ongoing thing for a long time.
Location: Skudeneshavn, Norway.
Ah!
1971.
In my country.
Description of Weisnacht event. An entire family was
please,
killed,
no,
with
stop.
the exception of the second youngest child, female age 5, who was abducted. The bodies of the parents and 2 other children were found in the basement of their house. Each had at least one limb pulled off by brute force before being stabbed precisely 39 times with an unknown sharp implement, possibly a piece of bone from one of the removed limbs, resulting in massive blood loss and death. The family members had been eviscerated and their small and large intestines removed and cut into 30 to 50 centimeter long pieces. These had been arranged in radiating lines around the bodies. Feces from the intestines had been used to trace symbols of unknown meaning on the walls of the basement.
Oh god, dude.
Location:
I'm fucking leaving my country.
Iceland, 1996. Description of Weisnacht event. An entire family was killed with the exception of the youngest child, female age 4, who was abducted. The bodies of the parents and 7 other children were found inside their house. All had large pieces of skin removed from their backs, necks, and groins prior to death. Removed skin was found to have been partially consumed. They had been killed by decapitation with a bucksaw that had belonged to the family. Following death, the family members' headless bodies had been carried into their respective rooms and placed on their beds. Each of the removed heads had also been placed upright on a step of the staircase leading from the first to the second floor, with the parents' heads on the top 2 steps and the children's heads on the lower steps, in decreasing order of age.
Oh god.
Document 4666.
That's pretty, that's
30985.
Hannibal shit, dog.
SCP-4666 Instances Log. Location: Nurms, Finland, 1811. Description of SCP-4666 Instance. A small wooden drum with 2 wooden drumsticks of uneven length. Drum skin consists of a 390 centimeter cubed piece of skin belonging to a human child stretched with a thread made from human tendons. Location: Gallagher, Wales, 1857. Description of SCP-4666
These are toys.
Instance. A small knife, 15 centimeters in length, the blade was 6 centimeters in length, sculpted from a single piece of bone belonging to a human child. Symbols of unknown meaning had been carved into the handle. Location: Makat, Kazakhstan, 1903. Description of SCP-4666 Instance. A flute made from the hollowed-out femur of a human child. Holes have been bored at uneven intervals along its length. The femur appears to have been dyed in human blood.
We don't know where the children are abducted, but we know they're made into toys. We know, dude. We know they're made into toys. There is no shot that it isn't what he does with them. Yeah, he takes the human children and makes them into fucking toys, dude. That is wild. That is seriously wild.
Location: Bangor, Michigan, 1960. Description of SCP-4666 Instance. A wooden box containing 13 miniature human-like figurines, each 4 to 6 centimeters in height, made from the phalangeal bones of human children, tied together with strips of human tendon. The figurines had been decorated with human hair and
God.
small pieces of torn clothing. DNA testing revealed that the remains belonged to 18 separate children. Location: Cape
Oh, so
Doyle,
he just keeps
Canada,
them and uses like parts of them.
1976.
Oh god.
Description of SCP-4666 instance. A ball, 23 centimeters in diameter, made from 19 layers of human skin, wrapped tightly around the desiccated head of an unidentified human child. Male, age 2 or 3. Layers of skin are held in place with pine resin. Location: Bard, Netherlands, 2006. Description of SCP-4666 instance. A hairbrush. The handle is made out of wood and poorly carved. In place of bristles, 43 deciduous human teeth have been set at irregular intervals into the handle. DNA testing revealed that each tooth belongs to a different child. Only 2 of the teeth could be matched to known abduction victims of SCP-4666.
That's confirmed.
Teeth vary in
43
age
children
from
he's
a few
taking.
days to over 400 years.
400 years.
Discovery:
Sheesh.
SCP-4666's existence and ongoing activity were first detected in 1974 through the Foundation's newly implemented Anomalous Signature Recognition Program, when several highly similar home invasion incidents resulting in family deaths were found to have occurred throughout the Northern Hemisphere during the night of January 1st or 2nd. Extensive research into law enforcement archives worldwide eventually uncovered evidence of probable Weisnacht events for nearly every preceding year, going back to the late 18th century, average of 3.1 known events per year. Numerous historical documents were also found which appear to describe SCP-4666 activity occurring prior to this period, in some cases as early as the 2nd century AD in Europe and Russia, and as early as the 1st century BC in Scandinavia.
1st century BC? Oh, this shit's
humanoid entity have been
old.
discovered at the locations of all Foundation investigated Weisnacht events. These have been matched to a partial fingerprint found preserved in dried blood on a recovered SCP-4666 instance dating from 1873.
Oh, so
The fingerprints
it's
present
actually human.
characteristics not known to occur in human beings.
Oh, never mind.
See image. Human-like white hairs were also recovered from the locations of several Weisnacht events.
So it's
though
not
no DNA,
human,
or otherwise,
it's human
could be
like.
extracted from them. Addendum
I mean, we kinda knew that, though.
4666-01.
I think.
On January 2nd, 2018, several SCP-4666 instances were discovered at a family's residence in Hoonah, Alaska, following the conclusion of Weisnacht event number 060198. Among these instances was SCP-4666-0960, which consisted of a crude life-size doll made from the emaciated body of a female child to which the following modifications had been made. A dress made from various pieces of dirty, discolored clothing had been sewn around the body, and in several places into the body's skin. The mouth had been sewn shut with thread made from human tendons, and the lips painted red with a solution consisting primarily of human
this
blood.
is so foul.
The fingernails of another
Oh,
child
God.
had been glued over the body's fingernails with pine resin. These had been painted red with the same human blood-based
Pine resin
solution.
again.
3 of the body's fingers were missing. The entire scalp had been removed from the head, and the scalp of another child with long blonde hair sewn onto the head in its place. The hair had been tied into 2 braids. Both eyes had been removed, and 2 large round pebbles on which eyes had been crudely painted placed into the empty orbits. Upon examination by the family, the child from whom the doll had been made was found to be still alive, albeit unconscious. Authorities were notified, and the child was airlifted to Bartlett Regional Hospital in Juneau, Alaska, where she survived for 18 hours.
She was
2 Foundation
alive.
agents were dispatched and were able to interview the subject. See interview log below.
No
Following the
shot.
subject's death, her body was confiscated by the agents and all witnesses amnesticized as per standard procedure.
No shot. She was alive, dude. But I will say though, I know something we can do, boys. There is something we can do though to take this guy out. Real simple, dude. You know, if you find somebody who's being stalked, like police reports about stalkings in this time frame that they need to be stalked, right? You find them, you find out where the Yule man is gonna be, dude. You make all the family members put on a mask with SCP-096 on them. And so when the Yule man comes, he sees the picture as a GG, dude. It's a wrap. Although I will admit, I think in this hypothetical scenario or solution that I presented, I think that the cure is going to be worse than the disease. Maybe. Just quickly back to what we just heard about. The child that was still alive, although it was sewn on all that shit. It survived for 18 hours, dude. Which means that it must, in some way, have survived for quite a lot longer prior to this. So I do wonder if the Yule man has a way of conserving them. Does that make sense? Like he conserves them in a manner. Perhaps, maybe.
DNA testing revealed that the subject had been Ekaterina Morozova, age 7, a known abduction victim of SCP-4666 taken from her family's residence in Dubovka, Russia on January 2nd, 2016. Autopsy of the subject's body showed she had been severely malnourished during the 2 years following her abduction, which had resulted in considerable stunting. Weight was only 15 kilograms, height was only 90 centimeters.
Oh!
A number of scars and burns were present on her skin, and she had suffered 2 bone fractures, left tibia and left ulna, that had not been reset and had healed improperly. Hands were heavily calloused. Cause of death was attributed to multiple organ failure resulting from severe, sustained malnourishment.
2 years?
Document 4666-5-358-14. Interview log. Audio log 4666-06201. Date, January 2nd, 2018. Time, 11:27 to 11:49 p.m. Alaska
Actual
Standard
interview,
Time.
dude. Let's go.
Location, Bartlett Regional Hospital, Juneau, Alaska. Interviewers, Agent Anthony Kowalczyk, Agent Susan Muse attending. Subject, Ekaterina Morozova, SCP-4666-A-0960. Female, age 7. Notes. The subject regained consciousness for a period of roughly 30 minutes prior to expiring, during which she was interviewed. Hospital staff had previously removed the thread that had been sewn into her lips, allowing her to speak. Despite having been administered a morphine drip, the subject was largely coherent throughout the interview. The subject did not understand English and initially only spoke a language that was unfamiliar to Agents Kowalczyk and Muse. However, after several minutes, the subject began addressing the agents in Russian, which he spoke poorly. Agent Kowalczyk, who spoke rudimentary Russian, was able to conduct the interview without the need for an interpreter. This interview has been translated by my on-site AI, Acid. Playing log, now.
Hello, I am Anthony. What's your name?
Are you going to take me back to him?
No, I promise. I'm just here to talk to you.
Oh, her voice is fucking
I don't want to go back.
You
foul.
don't have to. You're safe now, Mishka. Can you tell me what happened to you? Do you remember the night he came to your house?
I remember. He hurt Mama and Papa, and Katya, and Juliana for a long time, and they were bleeding. After they stopped screaming, he put me in his bag.
His bag.
He had a big bag. Other children went in bag too. I think we go to other houses. I hear people screaming outside the bag, all during the night. Each house, he put another child in the bag. Then after the night, he take us away.
Where did he take you?
On the ground. Nothing. Deep.
Underground. You mean in a basement?
Deep. Everything earth and mud and ice. Bones everywhere. Everything cold. I can't sleep because it's too cold.
Were there lots of children there with you?
Lots of children. Lots of tunnels. Lots of holes. But I can't see all. I can't see the other island. Too dark. My hole is with Renee, Hecla, Sasha, and Paul. We make toys. Together.
The toys?
If you don't make the toys, you don't eat. Don't stop making toys. Don't fall asleep or he hurt you.
He hurts you. How?
He hit you. He hit you. Or he burn you. Or he bite off your fingers. Or he cook you on a fire in his room and eat you. He eat Phil and Sally.
What about you? How did this happen to you? Did he do this?
Renee, Hecla, and Sasha, and Paul do this. They have to.
Why?
I get sick. When you can't make the toys,
You become the toy.
you become the toys.
Oh my fucking god, dude. That is wild shit. Bro. That was amazing acting too.
Let's just get rid of this guy's face off of the monitor, and let's all go and have a really good holiday and just take our minds off this thing, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening, if indeed you still are, and you were all dismissed.
Bro.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Kudos for that last interview, dude. That was amazing acting, voice acting. The way they described it, with all these bunch of holes underground, dude. Far, deep under, right? Where there's like different holes in different places and children are making toys, and those that don't make toys, them die, dude. I think we're gonna end it here. If you have a recommendation for an SCP you want me to watch, please comment down below. And thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like and subscribe. Go and check out some of the TheVolgun's videos. They are always bangers, dude. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.